everybody, today we're starting our unit on adding 3-digit numbers. So we've already practiced a little bit with our place value unit, adding hundreds or adding tens. Let's go ahead and review that before we get into our new information that we'll be working on this week. So the first thing I'm going to do is build a number. So my number is going to be 346. So I'm going to put this up and I will actually build it with the blocks instead of drawing the picture this time. We will be moving to that picture model strategy eventually. Okay, so there's my 300. And then we need 4 tens for 40, 10, 20, 30, 40, and 6 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I've got my picture. This picture represents 346. We just finished working on this, so you should be very familiar with this. Now we're going to add a multiple of 100. So let's go ahead and add 400. So when I'm looking at this, it is a multiple of 100. That means I'm not adding ones and tens. I'm simply adding hundreds. So let's go ahead and pull these down. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4. And they are kind of stacked behind, but we can still count those. So let's count together. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. So I have 700. And then let's go ahead and count my tens and then my ones. I have 10, 20, 30, 40 because that number stayed the same. I still just had 40 and then I still have 6 ones. When I put that together, that makes 746. So what we were doing is we were really only having to work within this hundreds digit right here because I was not adding on to my ones or to my tens. I was simply adding 300 and 400. We know 300 and 400 makes 700, and then I could bring down the 46. So now let's look at this without pulling the models down, but allowing you to draw the picture or to use expanded form. So my new number, let me get my marker, is 516. And let's just say we are going to add 400 to this. So let's look at 2 strategies. You could do this mentally, and I'm okay with that. If you do this mentally, I might expect you to explain your answer, and we'll get to that at the end. Let's start with our picture model. So I'm going to draw it with my hundreds, my tens, and my ones, just like we did before, but it was just tens and ones. So I'm going to draw 500. So there's 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. Now I'm going to draw my 10. Well, there's only one 10, so I draw my 10 stick and then 6 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'm adding on 400 to it. So I will draw those in the hundreds place value. 100, 200, 300, 400. So if you'll notice, the reason I've always asked you just to draw dots for the ones, some students have a hard time drawing a tiny square and they end up looking like a 100 and they shouldn't look the same. So we just use our dots in the ones place. Now that our picture's finished, we could count this up. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. So we have 9 of the 100 flats, which makes 900. Plus I have a 10. 1 10 is worth 10, and I have 6 ones, which is worth 6. So that gives me an answer of 916. So that's one strategy that I want you to have written down in your journal. Now what I'm going to do is erase that and show you expanded form. So pause it if you don't have this written down. So we're going to take this part away and look at another strategy. So I'm going to come back and make sure I have my hundreds, tens, and ones. And I don't have to label that as much with expanded form, but let's expand the number 516. We practiced that all week last week. 500 plus 10 plus 6 ones. Now look at the number 400. There's 4 hundreds. And how many tens? Well, there's 0. And how many ones? There's 0. There's none. So now we want to put our operation sign here to make sure we know we are adding this time. So 6 and 0 is 6. 10 and 0 is still 10. And if I know 5 and 4 is 9, 500 and 400 is 900. And very quickly, I've got that answer. Now, some of you may like to solve this mentally. If you solve it mentally, you might explain to me, I know 500 and 400 is 900. I did not add tens and ones, so I still had 110 and 610. You can put that into words. Let's practice one more in your journal before you try some on your own. So let's go ahead. I'm going to clear this and start with a new problem. So this problem will be, again, I need to pick up my pen. Okay, here we are. 248 plus 600. Okay, so we're going to do both strategies. I prefer expanded form. The pictures get really big and take up a lot of paper, and sometimes if you're not careful, you can get confused. So I'm going to start with expanded form. I'm going to expand 248. 200 plus 40 plus 8. And I want you to see just how quickly we can solve this. You should be writing this in your journal. Plus I'm adding 600, which I'm expanding. Now with 600, we really don't have much to expand because there are no tens and there are no ones, but we can put those zeros to hold that place for us to add. We know that 8 and 0 is 8. We know that 40 and 0 is still 40. And we know that 200 and 600 is what, boys and girls? If 2 and 6 is 8, 200 and 600 is 800. Put that all back together, and we have 848. Super quick, super easy. So what if I'm doing a picture model? Well, let's go ahead and draw those place values up here. Hundreds, tens, ones, and I am going to switch colors just so we don't get everything confused. Okay, so we had 200s, so I'm going to draw my 100 flats. And then 40, so I'm going to draw 4 tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, and my 8 ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and now I'm adding 600. So I need to draw 6 more hundreds flats. So there's 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. So there is my picture model. If I count this up, I have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. So there's 800 plus 4 tens, which is 40, plus, let me get my pen working again, plus 8 ones. So the same answer, two different ways. You choose what works better for you today. If you use mental math, I am going to ask that you show me some text, and like it may say something like this. I know 200 plus 600 equals 800. So 248 plus 600 equals 848. So, like I said, if you like mental math, I'm okay with that. But when I ask for an explanation, I want to see something put into words where you're telling me how your brain figured that out right away. You are doing wonderful with all of our lessons. Make sure you use the strategies I'm teaching. They will help you because we're going to get into some really big numbers this week. I'm excited to see your work. Have a good day, guys. Bye.